Okay. Today I want to focus on listings, guys. Just talking more about the kind of the different aspects of listing. Number one is maybe we'll spend a little bit of time on the initial call, because some of us are getting like Zillow sellers, stuff like that. So kind of best practices for that initial call, what's working, what's not working. And then we'll run through that. Maybe we can listen to a call that recently came in and just kind of get some feedback on that. Because that's where it starts, right? A good listing is going to start with having that initial phone call and setting that phone call up right, asking the right questions so that you can get your foot in the door. And then what I want to do is I want to touch on one strategy for when we're going on listing appointments. One way to kind of set up and pre-frame the listing appointment when you're starting it. So that'll be kind of the second half. So let's talk about just the calls, the initial calls. What are you guys seeing that's working? For those of you guys that are getting listing opportunities, whether it's Zillow, whether it's a referral, what's working, what's not working, what are you having issues with when you're booking that initial call? How do you approach it, or what do you need help on?
I've been pretty much just going off the SQS script, and that seems to be working well. I mean, I don't get a lot of pushback on it. I do ask I don't wait till the end to say, hey, when can I come out and check the property? I kind of work that in naturally, because they're always asking, well, what do you think it's worth? I'm like, well, I can give you a number, but until I see the property, it's just a number.
Yeah.
So when's a good time for me to come out?
Yeah.
I try to get that early on.
Yeah.
And it's been working really well. I had one guy I'm still kind of fighting with, but his whole thing is it's in Hollister. And even though I said we go to Hollister often, he bought the house back in December and it's just too far out. And the buyer's agent, the guy that he hired to help him buy it, was based in San Jose. And he's like, the guy had an excuse every time why he couldn't come out to Hollister. And he goes, it was a terrible experience. And I'm like, well, I'm out there at least once a week. Like, I'm going to work an area, I'm going to go work an area. So, I'm trying to, but he's a little gun shy just because, people come from San Jose complain a lot, he says.
Got it. Okay. So let's tackle that right there, because I think that's a good one. With the Hollister thing, just right off the bat, is we have agents that live in Hollister. So like Adrian lives out there. Chris, I believe, lives in Gilroy, and then David lives in Hollister. So you can leverage them. Like, hey, we actually have a few of our team, my partners that live in Hollister. So there's always going to be one of us available. Yep. I'm going to be the primary. But if for some reason I'm not available, I have 3 people on my team that I collaborate with that live there in the area. So
okay, that's good.
That in your back pocket, right? So you can use that and kind of put them at ease. But let's talk about the starting off the call. And I think we got to also consider where the lead's coming from, right? I think that's also important. So let's talk about Zillow. So if you're getting a Zillow seller lead, I think we got to put ourselves in the mind frame that they went online, they clicked on something, they're expecting someone to call them. And so I like what you said is like, just go for the appointment early, because it's kind of natural, right? Like, they clicked on something, someone's going to call them. So natural next step is like they're probably expecting that someone's going to have to go out there. And so I think just make sure you note that, guys, if you're getting a Zillow seller lead or an online lead, you should try to just set the appointment like right from the beginning. And then you can start asking the questions, right? Just like we do at ALM. We go appointment first, then we start asking more location motivation, right? So think of it as ALM, setting the appointment up front. And then from there, you can kind of go into the SQS stuff, right? Asking those kind of qualifying questions. What's your motivation? Why are you selling? Where you're going and stuff like that. But just get that appointment out the way. Blanca, you have anything that's working for you, or Mark, when those calls?
Do you want to go, Mark? Or you want me to go?
Why don't you go ahead? I haven't had the best success rate with Zillow so far.
No worries. My Hollister one was a Zillow. The one you held open, John?
Mhm.
And I know that you and I talked about that one a little bit. And I feel that one was a real success story for me just because they had interviewed a few local agents and I was the only out of the area agent. So, like Enrique said, I did go for the appointment. He wanted me to give him an idea what the property was worth. And I said, hey, I could give you a range, but until I see your home, I could give you some ideas on what to do. And then I shared our listing in Lone Bluff, what we did, and they seemed convinced and gave me the appointment. So I feel for me that really worked. I just went on another listing appointment with Antonio, which was a Zillow lead for him on the buy side. And on their conversation, they need to sell in order to buy. So we went on that listing appointment. And again, it was very, very informational for them. We touched about a lot of things that they're wanting to accomplish. One of them being, most importantly, either moving to Hollister or moving to Brentwood. And they were so unfamiliar with the sell contingent upon your purchase. So I went through that whole information with them. And then a very key factor, guys, is always bring value. Ask all the right questions. Do you need the proceeds from this house to buy? She's looking to retire. She didn't know anything about capital gains deferment, and she's the only title holder. So we talked about a lot of things, and I feel that once you get your foot in the door and you get the appointment, it's going to be a game changer to add all that value.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what you were talking about, Enrique, about not being in the area or not being an agent from the area, or do you have coverage here? I went on a listing appointment in Union City on Tuesday. Went very well. The client's updating the home. It was a rental property. And he did ask, have you sold anything out here? And I was honest. I said, I haven't sold anything in Union City, but I helped a buyer buy. And here's some of my listings in Fremont, San Ramon. I said, we have agents in this area as well. So we're pretty much spread out. And then I also showed them that Zillow map where we have presence, where we've sold or bought a home. And that just really kind of opened up the door for them to feel at ease and relieved, because they wanted to make sure I knew the market. And then, of course, bringing the comps and giving them actual data. And then another thing that I am putting in my tool belt is everybody looks on Redfin and Zillow, and don't be afraid to reference that market value that Zillow and Redfin is given, because our market analysis was giving them a little bit higher. Their expectation was still higher than what the current market is doing. I said, let me show you. Look at, consumers are looking on Redfin and Zillow, and it was like 1.48, 1.45. He wants 1.6. The comps were at 1.520, the highest. So also, you knowing the market, the data, what are the buyers seeing? How are you going to tackle that? And giving the reference is also going to add value and just show your expertise in the market, even though you're not from the area.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback. I think when you run your comps, right, you can write on there, like on the comp sheet at the bottom, write Redfin, write the number, write Zillow, write the number.
I even did RPR.
Yeah, RPR.
Mm-hmm.
So now, that just shows that you're researching everywhere. Hey, I ran my own evaluation, but I
Yep.
also saw what Zillow said, what Redfin said, what RPR
Yep.
said.
Mm-hmm.
These are their numbers based off algorithms, but
Yeah.
this is me actually looking at the comps and studying the area, right?
Yeah.
And then you could show them how different it is, right? Maybe it's on, maybe it's off, maybe you're higher, maybe you're lower.
Yeah.
But I think that also just kind of shows more of your expertise, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mark, you said you haven't had the most success. Can you maybe give me some examples or any challenges you ran into with any of those leads?
It's a little all over the place with the Zillow ones. A couple of them just didn't seem like they were at all interested in selling. They just wanted more of like maybe just a market update with no intention to sell. Some of them mentioned they're thinking, they want to switch school districts for their family, but right now obviously isn't the good time to do it. So I think they're still like gauging the market. one of the ones I recently just got, we're kind of exchanging information back and forth as he's trying to like learn his options, because it's like a divorce settlement, and that from like 2011, and there's a lot of variables within it, and his ex-wife still lives in the property, so we're trying to work through all the scenarios, and maybe some of it is a little bit of a learning curve on my end on learning how to explain all the options, and then I'm trying to get him on a call versus just exchanging emails, so that way we can kind of take it to the next step. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just maybe just finding them and the right stage of their process and being able to meet them in person. I think a lot of the ones I'm getting are more nurturers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's immediately what came to my head, is that
Me too.
it's not that you haven't had success yet. It's that some of them, they're just early on,
Sure.
which is a good thing. When you catch people early on, it's actually better for you, because when someone is about to decide, they're deciding already that they're going to sell, a lot of times they're interviewing and shopping around. But when you can catch someone early on and you're the one that's guided them and you're the one that's gave them a lot of good information and you stuck with them, they become loyal, where they're not going to want to shop you, right? So it's there's the pros and cons, right? Obviously, we want to try to get a deal now, but just remember, you're building a database too. You're building a nurture pipeline.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't look at those as not having success yet. I would look at it as like, it just hasn't happened yet, right? You're still in the works, and just keep staying in touch with them, keep following up, keep giving them, value, give them updates. I also think it's important when you call people for nurtures, have something to give them when you call them. So let's say like, one of your nurtures, right? Who's the school guy, the one who's thinking about changing schools. Well, when you follow up with them in a few weeks or a month or whatever, look at the comps real quick, right? And see if there's a recent comp. This way, when you talk to him, you can say, hey, just wanted to check in with you. Also want to let you know, I don't know if you saw the house down the street that sold for X, right? Or I don't know if you saw the rates, they did this or that, right? So always think like, what's a little deposit that I can make that's going to show, okay, hey, Mark's the guy that's always giving me good info. Not just like, hey, how's it going? Has your situation changed yet? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Come from like contribution. Hey, I wanted to give you an update instead of asking for you to give me an update. I wanted to give you an update on what's happening. Right. And that kind of changes the dynamic. Let's see. The other thing too, I wanted to make sure is, I'm going to quiz you guys right now before I show you. So on the seller SQS, right? You guys have seen that, the seller SQS, the updated version, 2.0 version. There's 4 bullet points that I put as a value to a seller. Like, what's the value for them meeting with you? So I want to quiz you guys. If I was going to meet with you as a seller, why would I invite you over my house? What value do I get from that? What are at least, kind of throw them out, right? Whoever wants to go, just throw any of them out. What's the value I'm going to gain?
Market knowledge.
Market knowledge. Okay. What else? What do I get when you come to my house for a listing appointment?
Maybe value of your house.
What was that?
Like the
Learn the value of your house?
Yeah.
Okay. Get an understanding of what your home is worth. Okay. So understand the market, understand what your home might be worth. Okay. What else?
Giving
Ideas.
opinions on what needs to be fixed to get the home ready to sell,
Ideas
What
on
needs to be fixed, right?
updated, whatever.
What it's going to take to prep your home for sale, basically, right?
Yeah.
What else? What else do I get?
net sheet. What you're going to walk away with.
A net sheet, right? Understanding the costs of the sale and what you would walk away with, right?
Yeah.
After fees, after, all those different things. Okay. What else? This is where I want you guys to think, like, what are like, because there's a lot of things that I can give a seller when they come, right? But you have to know how to like think of like, hey, boom, 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 boom. This is what you get when I come over. This is why you want me to come over, right? Because if you don't have that ingrained and confident, it's going to be hard for you to book that appointment, right? Is there anything else?
Negotiating skills.
Well, that happens if you hire me, but what do I get by you coming and doing a listing presentation?
You want to be in stage what you said?
What am I going to learn from you, basically?
Okay.
There's
What-
one that you guys are missing. I think that's important.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Um,
I know.
What do you got, Dev?
Access to exclusive vendors and contractors that will provide you best service.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I can give you access to my. Yeah, that's a value, a value there. Okay, how about learning the different options of selling your home, like the different ways to go about it,
yeah.
right? Do you fix it? Do you go cash offer? Do you leave it as is? Right? Knowing all your options, right? That's
Mhm.
important, right? Because it's not just selling. It's like, well, which way should I sell? Should
Yeah.
I fix it? Should I leave it alone? Should I do a cash offer? Should I go on the market? Should I do off market? Should we do open houses? Should we not? Right? All those different things when it comes to how the actual process is going to go. Some people don't understand those. Like we understand those, right? But something so small like that, you guys didn't catch that. But for a seller, they don't know any of that stuff, right? So we kind of got to play dumb, like, play like we don't know anything, right? Like the seller doesn't know anything, and then you can list all these different bullet points. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you're trying to book the listing appointment, it's important that you reiterate, hey, when I come over, the following is going to happen. Or when I come over, you're going to learn A, B, C, and D, right? Or when I come over, this is what you're going to, when I'm done, this is what you're going to leave with and what you're going to understand. It's going to be very clear, where the market's at, what your home is worth, the different options you have for selling your home, any potential tax liabilities or consequences. You guys should be throwing that in the mix, right? You'll know, hey, should I renovate? Should I not? Should I sell as is? You'll get an understanding of what your home could sell for, depending on which path you choose. And so it's going to be a lot of good information, Mr. Seller, which is why we should meet. And this is all free, right? And then at the end, you can decide what makes sense for you or not. Does it make sense to sell now or later, right? And so see, when I position it that way, I'm turning like, hey, let's just book a listing appointment into this big, grand, like value-packed meeting. Who wouldn't want to meet with you when you say it that way, right? And so the biggest takeaway I want you guys to get is, how do I articulate my value, and how do I turn, hey, let's book a listing appointment, or let me come check out the house. That's very casual, versus, hey, I'm going to come over and you're going to get A, B, C, and D. You're going to get all this value from me, and it's going to be really clear to you. All right. Does that make you guys see the difference there, guys?
Yeah.
AI does not reach out.
So if you're having trouble getting people to meet with you, it could be because you're not showing them enough reasons why they should meet with you. Right. And let's say one agent is like kind of just keeping it really lax. Like, hey, what's a good time for me to come over and check the house out? And then they get on the phone with me and I sell them this whole big thing that they're going to get from me. And they have to pick and choose, right? They're not going to meet with everybody. Who would they rather meet with, right? They're going to rather meet with the person that's going to give them a lot more. So it's even though agent number one might go over that stuff, but if he didn't explain that he was going to go over that stuff, there's something called perceived value, right? So you guys have to be good. This is part of sales skills. This is part of marketing, at illustrating your value and illustrating what people get, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do really quick is I want to put all you guys on the spot, and I want you to just say, hey, Enrique, when I come over to your house for our listing appointment, you're going to get, and then you throw in at least 3 bullet points, right? And I want to see if you can impress me, and should I let you come over my house, right?
Mhm.
Who wants to go first?
Fuck it, I'll go.
Let's go, John.
So Enrique, I'd like to set a time up to come over and take a look at your house. Main reason is there's a couple of things we're going to go over. One, we're going to talk about how we're going to sell your house. You do have a couple different options. Whether we're going to fix the house up, sell it as is, maybe try to find a cash offer for you for a quick close. Really, depends on your situation, and something we'll get into a little bit more on what you're trying to achieve. Also, it's going to give me an opportunity to take a look at the property, give you any recommendations that I have to get the house ready to market, to get you top dollar, if that's the route we're going to go. I'm also going to, I'll have comps for the neighborhood and just the general market, just, so you kind of know what's going on in the market. So you have a feeling of what to expect once we are listed and what we should, hopefully expect to get price wise for you. That make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Now add in the last one where you're going to understand the costs, what you're going to walk away with, and any even potential tax ramifications you might have.
Okay.
So go ahead, add that in. Say
Oh,
also,
okay. Also, we can go over tax ramifications that you might have depending on what your capital gains are. We do have some partners that we strategize with, that we meet with our clients, that can show you ways to either defer, reduce, or even possibly completely eliminate those taxes or push them off down the road for you. I'll have a net sheet kind of show you different price points on what you'll walk away with, that you can either put to your next house or whatever you want to use the cash for.
let's go, John. Let's give it up.
Good.
Really good.
That's good, John.
So John,
Right.
my question to you, that was phenomenal. You know all of this stuff. My question to you is, are you saying that on your calls?
I'm saying it more in person. But you're right. Gotta say it on the call to get into the house.
There
Once
you
I'm
go.
once I'm there, I'm saying it, but you're right. You got to say it beforehand.
Exactly, right? So that's the main point I wanted to prove here, is that the way John just did it, right, with the little tweak that I gave him at the end, is that needs to be his script on every seller call. Because whether you're dealing with a lower end client or a higher end client, even a higher end client is going to be impressed by that. If you're dealing with the Palo Alto $3 million house and you gave them, boom, you're going to get all of this, they're going to want to meet with you, right? And so that needs to be the standard there. Like, that is your standard going forward, John. Like, do not set appointments with like, hey, let me just come by and check the house out, right? Make sure you illustrate that value, that level of value, so that it's a no-brainer why they wouldn't want to meet with you, or at least invite you over, right? To tour the property.
I would like to say I do more than just, hey, let me see the house. So I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying. I totally makes sense.
Yep,
'Cause
absolutely.
Then you're just reinforcing it once you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of bringing it, it's not new shit at that point.
Exactly. And think about it this way. If, like, let's say you're talking to the husband and then he has to go tell the wife, hey, this realtor's coming over. Hey, this realtor sounds really good, right? I talked to him on the phone. He's going to go over this, over that. He also is going to talk about taxes, and how we can maybe defer some of that, right? And then the wife's like, oh, yeah, invite him over, right? Because sometimes the wife might be the deal killer in the back, right? Or vice versa. You talk to the wife and the husband's like, who's coming over from where? What site did you click on? And then it stops there, right? All right, good stuff. Who wants to take a crack at it now? Each person's going to go.
I'll go.
Let's go, Blanca.
Hey, Enrique. Well, the reason I'd love to come by your home, most importantly, is to go over your options, whether it be selling your home as is, doing some repairs, some renovations, and also giving you a pulse of what the market is doing. This is going to give you a clear understanding of what's active, pending, sold, what's your competition, where we should price. Also, key pricing is going to be very important on your home. And that's something that I would love to show you how we can definitely tailor that. Also, I'd love to show you how I'm going to be marketing your home, and this is going to be tailored to your needs, your specific situation. We're not a one-stop shop where everybody fits into it. It's going to be completely tailored to your home. So I'd love to showcase how I'm able to do that. And lastly, but most importantly, is getting you the best results, making sure we're not leaving any money on the table. You'll have a clear understanding with the net sheet after your expenses, any mortgages owed, and then your capital gains. Are you going to be facing any tax implications or anything like that? I'd love to review that, give you some ideas, or even possibly introduce you to our financial specialist who can help you avoid some capital gain deferrals or anything like that. So on our appointment, my goal is to fully inform you and make sure you understand all this so you make a well-informed decision to partner up and sell your home. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, when can you come over, right? Boom, there we go. Let's go. Let's give it up, Blanca. Good stuff. Good stuff. Blanca, I've heard you do that a lot. Like, you already naturally do a lot of that. But maybe I want you to let me know what's a takeaway? Like, is there something you weren't adding or mentioning that now, okay, I got to make sure I hit that point?
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't think I say it enough on the phone call, but I send that, I'm making a religious thing to send that email where it has some of the bullet points of what we're going to be covering, which is great. But I think I need to incorporate it more verbally and just kind of summarizing, what we're going to be going through. I'll probably do one or two, but I don't cover all four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be like the ribbon.
Yep.
Hey, when we meet, you're going to get this full package.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. So, because it's great that you send a follow-up email, but remember, you don't close people via email.
No.
It's through conversation, right?
Yeah.
So you already have them on the line. So you want to shoot all your bullets,
Yep.
right? To make sure that they're fully impressed. And then following it up with the email
Yeah.
is going to even add more
Yeah.
ammunition, right? And
Yeah.
they're going to be like, oh, this is locked in.
One thing that I did leave out that I always mention, and I feel that that's kind of been a game changer for me, is at the end of the call, I say, hey, my goal is to fully inform you. And if it makes sense for you, great. And if not, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of giving them a sense like there's no obligation without verbally saying it. And I feel that I've been adding that in all of my conversations. And once I say that, they're like, okay, let's meet.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
little tip.
That's something I'd always do. I'd always use the phrase, see if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Because like, hey, we'll go over everything and we'll see if it even makes sense.
Yep.
It's kind of like the takeaway,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, I'm not trying to pressure you. We're going to see what makes sense for you. And then you could decide from there how
Yeah.
you can proceed forward. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very good strategy there.
Yeah.
All right. Mark, you're up, buddy.
All right, Enrique, I would love to schedule a time to come by your property and see it in person. This way we can discuss further in terms of like what your current goals are with selling your home. Every owner has, their own unique background, their own story, and every property is unique. So we need to come up with a catered game plan for your property. This will allow me to see kind of the current condition, and we can make some recommendations for any potential repairs or renovations so that we can, basically reach your end goal for selling your home. And there's many different ways to sell a home too. So I would love to explore the different options to see which one will fit your goal the best. In addition to that, I want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what you're going to walk away with at the end of the sale of your home as well. So we can go over different types of marketing strategies and how we want to position your property, and then run through a net sheet to show you, ballpark what you would end up in your pocket at the end of the transaction. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
That sounds great. Let's do it. All right. Who can give Mark any coaching or anything that you would add or tweak to that? Blanca or John, you guys both just went and you guys did phenomenal. So is there anything you would add to Mark's?
Maybe just adding something, Mark, of what the knowledge you have on the market, the knowledge you have on what's going around in their surrounding areas. By meeting with me, I'm also going to inform you what your competition is, how long it's taking properties to sell, what condition they're in, and how we can strategize yours to be the winning listing or something about the market.
Yeah, because you hit go over your options, like the different ways to sell your home. You talked about recommendations for renovations. You talked about net sheet. You didn't mention anything about taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you didn't mention anything about how you're going to educate them on the market and what's happening in the local market, what the competition's like, pricing strategy, stuff like that. So those are the ones I would add. And even if you want to take some time to just write these down, right? Quick bullet points, right? Just write them down. And they'll become ingrained in you after a while. There you go. You're taking some notes. Perfect.
Yeah.
But you're not too far off. To me, you were like, 70, 80% there. There's just a few more bullet points that I would add to really just put the ribbon on it and bring that thing home.
Yeah.
You want to try that one more time, Mark? Adding those points?
Sure. So Enrique, I would love to come by your property, see it in person, get a better understanding of what your current goals are with the sale of your home. There's obviously, different ways we can sell your home. So I want to make sure you have a clear understanding of all of your options. While we walk through the property, I can make suggestions for any potential repairs or renovations so that we can make sure that you're netting what you want to net at the end of the sale. We'll also do kind of a market analysis to kind of see what's going on in your neighborhood, to see what recent homes have sold for and what the current inventory looks like. So that way we can strategize for your goal to make sure you're netting what you want to net. And with that being said, we'll go through a net sheet to go through the costs of, basically marketing your property, selling it. And so you have a clear understanding of what you'll have in your pocket at the end of the transaction. And then we can go over any potential tax implications with capital gains and such like that. And we consult on your options for that as well. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's give it
That
up.
was good.
Phenomenal right there, right? So those little tweaks, like you hit. To me, if I'm a seller, like those are all the things that I would want to know, and even some that I didn't know I needed to know, right? Because some sellers aren't thinking capital gains, they're not thinking tax implications, they're not even thinking net sheet. They're just thinking what how much are you going to sell my house for? They're not thinking what do I walk away with, right? So you're already ahead of that by just putting that in their mind, right? So great job on that. Deb, you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah, excuse me. I'll take a crack at it, but just a quick heads up. Can you? I'm so sorry.
What was that?
Right next to each other, so that was echoing. Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
Awesome. So just a quick heads up, this is my first time doing it, so
All
very
right.
low expectations. Right?
This is what this is for right here.
But I did take notes, right? So I think I'll be at fine. All right, Enrique, I think it might be valuable for us to meet maybe at your house to go over a couple of things that people find valuable. First thing is probably just how the market is doing around your area. See how long local homes in your neighborhood take for them to sell, see exactly what those homes sold for, and maybe kind of conduct an inventory analysis in your area just to get a little bit more information and just to kind of see what your home might be worth, right? Second thing is going over your options. I think this is very important for you. Just seeing what you can do, whether you want to fix up the house, even sell it as is without doing any upgrades at all, or kind of like a combination approach, which is probably what most people do. Excuse me. The reason why this is pretty valuable to you is because you'll see exactly what you'll walk away with. Let's say if you fix up the house, let's say if you keep it as is, or let's say if you guys want to do some renovations to it, right? So you'll get all three options laid out to you 100%, and then you can decide whatever you want to do. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
And then last one here, I think this is super important. It's just important recommendations on what to change, right? I think putting money into the house doesn't equal getting money out. So I think important things to such as maybe changing the flooring or some layout of the house. These things do give you significant money back into your pocket, which is exactly what you're looking for. And then most importantly, we have a list of contractors who will also be helping you doing all this. Along with contractors, we have tax experts. So any kind of resource you need for you to have any questions about this transaction, we'll have that all right then and there.
Excellent.
Awesome. So when
What was that?
do we meet?
When do we meet? Today. Okay.
Cool.
That was your first time, man. So good job. Good job for your first time taking a crack at it. Now, here's where I want to coach all of you guys.
Mhm.
Keep it simple.
Mhm.
Sometimes we like to use the big words, and we like, all of us, right? We get in our groove and we start talking, right? All of us are guilty of that. So am I. But remember, sometimes the things that we say, they may not understand it all the way, right? Sometimes they may not understand when we throw out like terms like a net sheet, right? Net sheet, that's an internal term. That's not necessarily a consumer term, right?
Mhm.
So my advice to you is try to figure out how to say that to a third grader or a fourth grader, right? So with that in mind, right? Because you don't want to lose the person, right? If that person's not that savvy and you're throwing a lot at them, they might be like, oh shit, what just happened, right? Like,
Yeah.
it might become overwhelming for them if it's too much and too long. So that's the balance where you want to keep it simple. So with that in mind, what I would say is, let me role play this with John. John, So here's what I like to do, John. I like to come by the house. There's a couple things we're going to go over, and I think it's going to be valuable to you. Number one, I'm going to walk the property, and I'm going to give you some recommendations on, what you can do to improve the value of your home. Should you fix it or sell it as is? Those are all the options we can discuss. I'm also going to show you what the sales are doing in the neighborhood. We'll go over the market, and you'll know exactly what's happening and what your competition's doing. I'll also go over all the costs for you as well, so you know exactly what you walk away with at the end of the sale. And we can also discuss any taxes, if there's any taxes you might have to pay. And what am I missing? I'm missing one. You're stumping me. I thought that even that might have been too complicated.
Yeah,
But
it's long.
how do we shorten this and just say like, I will show you money, right? Like, fix or don't fix, right? Or imagine if you had someone that didn't speak English very well. Then why
Yeah.
would you say that?
Yeah.
Maybe if English was their second language, or Spanish speaker, or there was a bit of a language barrier, and you guys said all this stuff, you're gonna lose them, right?
Yeah.
And so you gotta figure out how to simplify that, right? That was even a challenge for me, how to say it simple.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're saying this stuff. Is shorter, to the point, the better, right? What did I miss? Did I miss something? Understand your goals, feedback, market, discuss
Net sheet.
that sheet. Yeah, I think I hit them all.
You hit them all. It was just long.
It was long. I was even trying to say it's shorter, and I was like, how do I say it shorter? Okay. Anybody else want to take another crack at that, or you guys feel good about that?
You could say something like, we can just run the numbers, figure out what you'll get at the end in your pocket.
Perfect.
That's
Run the
good.
numbers. Just run the numbers. You figure out after expenses what you're going to walk away with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
That's
after you
easy.
pay off your mortgage and expenses, what you walk away with.
Yeah. I'm going to put this in Chat GPT. I'm going to take all that and put it in Chat GPT and see what it gives me. Let's do that right now with you guys here, because I think this is important.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. And also so you guys can see how to do stuff like this too in the future, right? So you guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Air fryer baked potatoes.
Yeah, I made air fried baked potatoes yesterday. How different exercises, best glute exercises. I was trying to put together
At least it's all not. At least there's nothing really weird.
a leg workout yesterday, and I'm like, what am I missing from my legs? So can you put this into a shortened and to the point script for the value that a seller would get on a listing appointment? And then I'm gonna just paste those. Okay. So this is what it says. Here's what you can expect when we meet. First, I'll take the time to understand your goals, what matters most to you. We'll walk the property. I'll give you honest feedback on how to best prepare it. I'll review the current market, recent sales, what your home can realistically sell for. Finally, we'll discuss all your selling options so you can decide what makes the most sense for your goals. I don't even know. Can this be more simplified for a fourth grade level? Also add in, we will look at a net sheet,
Hmm.
what you walk away with, and any tax
Implications.
implications, right? But I'm
Yeah.
telling you to put this together, simplified fourth grade level. Let's see. Here's what we'll do when we meet. I'll ask about your goals. What's most important to you? We'll walk through your home and I'll share simple tips to get it ready to sell. I'll show you what homes nearby sold for and what your home could sell for. We'll go over a net sheet so you can see what you'll walk away with after costs. And I'll talk about any tax things. So instead of implication, it said things. Any things you should know about. Lastly, we'll look at your different options for selling so you can choose what works best for you. There you go.
And we could probably dummy it down a little more, not dummy it down, simplify it a little more. Instead of saying net sheet, I really like the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that from you, John, because I feel that that's just to the point. It's easy to understand.
Yeah.
We'll go over your numbers.
We'll go over all the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because net sheet, remember, net sheet's like, that's an agent term, right? That's like a title term. Most people don't know what a net sheet means.
No.
Right?
Sometimes they don't even know closing statement.
Yeah. So just saying, hey, we'll go over all the numbers so you know what you walk away with. And also if there's any taxes you may have to pay. All right. That's probably simple.
Yeah.
Any tax stuff that you should know about.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of tax implications, right? Implications.
Mm-hmm.
Tell my dad if tax implications. What's he going to say?
What the hell? Why you not say?
Yeah.
Why you don't say taxes?
Why you don't say taxes, stupid? He's going to say that. All right. Any questions, guys? Any feedback? Was this helpful for you guys?
Yeah.
Very. Yes.
Okay. So we're all going to make these adjustments, right? It's easy to get caught up in like how we normally talk, right? But remember, if you want to become more effective, this is like the small little tweaks that you got to make to your process that's going to take you to the next level, right? And so the goal, remember, the goal with any listing lead is to book the appointment.
Yeah.
So we need to position it in a way that gives us a better chance to get the appointment. Then once we're at the appointment, now we can do, bring everything we bring, our personality, all that good stuff, and connect with them and go from there. Okay, so second thing that I want to go over, I posted this. What did I post this? I actually sent this out. Shut my screen really quick. I sent this out in a marketing email today, but I want to share it with you guys because I think it's relevant to this. So let me share my screen. So this right here, the one question that changed my listing appointments forever. Right? So after personally selling over 300 listings, there's one simple shift I made years ago that changed how I win listing presentations, and I want to pass it on to you. Before you jump into your next listing appointment, before you walk them through comps, pricing, or your marketing plan, ask this powerful question. This is where I want you guys to take this away. Before I get started, what are the most important things you want to make sure we cover in our meeting, right? This right here, guys, is like extremely powerful. This one question immediately sets the tone. It tells the seller, you're not just there to present, you're there to listen. It puts you in a position to solve the problem they actually care about most. Because here's the truth. A lot of agents lose listings because they talk about things that don't actually matter to the seller. They present everything except what the client is actually worried about. And in reality, most sellers do not care about your fancy marketing or your cool social media video or how great your brokerage is. They care about you solving the problem or pain point they have. And that is different for every single seller you talk to. So when you lead with this question, the whole conversation becomes more focused, more relevant, more professional. It builds trust. It shows you're different. And it often becomes a deciding factor between you and the next agent they interview. The agent who asks the right questions and listens best wins the listing. Try this on your next listing appointment and spend the majority of your time focusing on what the seller actually wants. You'll see the difference instantly and you'll start winning more listings. So this one tip, guys, is what I want you to integrate when you go into a listing appointment, right? Rather than you just going into your presentation, before you go into your presentation, because you remember our presentation has a lot in it, right? And that doesn't always connect with every single seller because every seller has different needs, different wants, different things they're concerned with. Some sellers care about marketing. Some don't care about marketing at all.
Yeah.
Some care about what brokerage you're with. Have you sold a home in this area? Some never even ask that question, right? And so the whole point of you being able to win over a seller when it's just this big decision is by you understanding what's important to them first, right?
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to know that is by you asking that question just flat out, right? So, right, you walk the property, you tour it, whatever. Now you come down to the kitchen table, you got your listing presentation out, and you say, hey, look, I prepared some information, but before I go into that, what's the most important stuff you want to make sure that I cover? So I make sure we address that and we focus on what's important to you. And then I'll show you some of the other things that, I want to talk about. However you want to ask it, but just asking them what's important. What do you want to make sure we cover? This way, now you can tailor your presentation to touch on those topics and spend more time on those topics, right?
Yeah.
This is where you're not just going off the presentation verbatim, you're using the presentation as a tool. And if you need to bust some stuff out, you bust it out. If you don't need to cover that because that's not important, then you can just mention it slightly and then move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
But what are the things that, from your guys's experience, what are some of the different things that are important to sellers when you've talked to them? Like if I were to ask you that, if you guys were all sellers, let's say I asked you all that question, what would be important to you? So let's phrase it that way. You're a seller. I'm going to all ask you, what would be your answer? So before I get started, Mr. Seller, I want to make sure we cover what's most important to you. Is there anything you want to make sure I absolutely focus on in our meeting today? What would it be? If you were selling your house today, what would be important to you?
How can you get me top dollar?
How can you give me top dollar? Okay.
How do I get to my next home?
How do I get to my next home? What else?
I had my client, he wanted me to basically manage everything for him because he's out of state.
There you go. Right? How can I do this easier, simpler, right? How can you guys, take some of the work on for me? What else? What else have you seen that's important to sellers? Deb?
I would say,
a lot of
people want expertise in the area.
They want what?
Expertise, just especially just knowing that area, being an expert in that area.
Yeah. Some people care about, have you sold homes in the area? What else? Is there anything else that you think sellers care about?
How can you make this least disruptive to my life while we're in the house while it's on market?
Yep.
Because not
Yeah.
everyone can move out and have a place to go.
Yeah. And I think honestly, sometimes we're thinking like a realtor. So we, like Mark said, how do you get me top dollar? I don't think I've ever had a seller say those exact words, right? They usually say, well, how much can my home sell for, right? What can I walk away with? How much is it going to cost? What's your commission, right? Sometimes they're saying that. Once in a while, hey, have you sold a home in the area? But a lot of times it's like, how do I get the most money and how do I do it easier? That's usually what a lot of sellers care about, right? Because selling is a big process. It's a pain in the butt. There's a lot of moving parts. So a lot of people want to get more money and they want to do the least amount of work possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you could wave a magic wand, that's what you'd want to do. Like sell it as is and get me the highest price possible, right?
Yeah.
But then when they see the numbers, then, sometimes they say, okay, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to do that if that's going to get me more money. But I think what the takeaway from here is that you have to ask that question so that you can now focus on that and you can show them this is how I'm going to solve that problem or this is how I'm going to address what's most important to you.
Yeah.
Because if you just go spitting out a bunch of stuff, and just rambling in your presentation and you didn't touch on that thing that was important, that's where the disconnect happens, right? And so, yeah, remember, not everyone thinks the same way. Not everyone thinks like you. Like you guys may think getting top dollar is most important. Have you had clients, Blanca, that didn't really necessarily care about top dollar every single penny out of the house?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was more about the smooth transition to their new location.
Yeah.
How that was going to work. Was it going to be able to be doable and, stress-free, or what did they need to consider? What were the important factors?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. So right. Because there's clients where we sold their house as is.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even though we said, hey, we should fix it up because you're going to make 50,000 more. They're like, I don't want to deal with that.
There's so many different circumstances. I have a client who I'm nurturing who they're trying to position their mom into a care home. So honestly, the amount that the home was going to sell for was not even a big deal. Their
Yeah.
big deal is, can you work with us during this transition? And what do you recommend? We don't want our mom to be here. So that was kind of like the advice of where they should be.
Yeah. So let's use that as an example, right?
Yeah.
So if you totally disregarded that and just started talking about this whole marketing plan and, we're going to bring the contractors in and we're going to tear the house down and rebuild it and stage it, you miss them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like, we're used to like, hey, this is how it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it's up to you to find out what's important and tailor the process to what's going to fit their needs, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a good example. We've had the other side of the coin where they're like, no, I want top dollar. I'm willing to get the contractors in here. I'm willing to paint. I'm willing to do all that stuff. Mark's listing that he just closed recently, right? For his seller, it's an investment property. So he wanted to get every dollar he could. And he was willing to have the contractors come in and do all the work prior to sale.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two opposites right there, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't ask that and you don't understand that, then you can't focus on that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the big takeaway is don't just assume that they want, this process. Instead, be curious about what's important, why it's important. Ask that up front.
Yeah.
Now, there's two questions that you want to try to avoid. And you just be tactful about how you address this, right? If the first question they ask you is what's your commission, what does that signal to them? Or what does that signal to you?
They just want bottom line.
They want to know what they're going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to know what they're going to walk away with, what they're going to pay you, or they might be shopping around with multiple agents.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if it's like an online lead, right? If someone think about it. If I went on Zillow and I said, I want to talk to an agent, I might have went on Redfin too.
Yeah.
I might have interviewed the guy that's farming in my neighborhood. Right. And so if right away, like they're just harping on what's the commission, you got to go, okay, this person is really commission sensitive. They're probably shopping. And I know that may be, something I have to negotiate on if I want to win this listing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if I don't ask that question up front, I'm not going to really know how to tailor my conversation. Right. So if someone says, hey, what's your commission? Hey, that's a great question. If you already know it's going to be a commission thing, you want to deflect that to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you're higher than the other guy they talked to, but they haven't seen all the stuff you're going to do, you're not going to look as valuable, right? You kind of set yourself up for failure. If you're like, well, my commission's 3% and they already talked to a 1%er, they're tuned out at that point.
Yeah.
Like everything you say doesn't really matter.
True.
Right? They're just looking at 3 and 1. Like, so I would say, hey, that's a really great question. It sounds like, understanding your costs, what you're going to walk away with is extremely important. Netting the most money, in your pocket is important to you. I'm going to make sure we touch on that and we spend some time on that and go over the different options we have. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If they say, what's my home worth? Right. Or what can my home sell for? You can choose to like go into the comps at that point, or you can say, hey, that's a great question. In my presentation, I'm going to go through all the data, right? And I'm going to show you what the market's doing, what your competition's doing, and we're going to get a clear understanding of a price range, for this neighborhood, right? Deb.
Yeah. Good question here. So a lot of times when we meet sellers, what happens is like the sellers do want to they want to preliminary
Those lines. Can we provide that information to them? Like generally homes in your area are selling for between this and this number, or do you think we should advise to even provide that information at all, like on our initial call?
What do you think, Blanca? If someone wants to know a general price range, how do you tackle that?
I've had it many times, and it could go either one way or the other. You could give them the range and just let them know, I'm going to give you a range of what's public information, but what's really going to determine the value of your home, Deb, is the condition it's in. That's why when I come out to meet with you, I'll get a better understanding, and my market analysis that I'll be able to give you or recommend will be more precise to your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could even do this. If someone's on the line, pull up Zillow.
Yeah.
While you're talking to them.
Because
And
that's
say, right.
sorry, because that's the number one search engine that they're on is Zillow,
Mhm.
Redfin. You know, they're looking at all those and reference that. Hey, I could give you a range,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're probably on Zillow, which is the most popular website. This is what it's saying, but this doesn't do it justice for your property. Zillow hasn't gone out there to see your home.
Yeah.
No, but Blanca, when you say it like that, it also makes it fair. I mean, in both senses, like you are providing them. You answer the question in the sense that you give them a range,
Yeah.
right? Also kind of concealed your information and our actual value, which is going out there, right? So I think
Mhm.
very valuable answer. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd pull that up. I'd first say, hey, look at, like, I don't want to just throw random numbers out without seeing your home, right? Because it's not going to be accurate. I just punched it in. Zillow says your house is worth 1.5, but in my experience, that number could be completely off. This is why it's important that I come by, and actually check out your home. And it's going to take me some time to kind of do some research so I can give you a more accurate, evaluation of your home, right?
Yeah.
Say otherwise, I'm just kind of throwing blind numbers out there, and I want to make sure I give you good information. That's fair, right? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, great. When can I stop by? And when I stop by, you're going to get A, B, C, and D, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of what you're going to get when I stop by. And then you could slip in the other. In addition, I'm going to go over this. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over that. And now you went from like, hey, give me a range to like, hey, I'll cover that when I get there. But then I'm also going to give you these 4 other things. And so that's why I got to come over. All right.
Mhm.
And so remember, answer their question tactfully, and then add all the other value on top of that you're going to get, that they're going to get when you come out. All right. Okay. Any questions, guys? We're up on time.
This was good.
All right.
Yeah, that's a
all
good one
right.
today. Yeah.
Learn some stuff, guys.
That's
These are
good.
the small little nuances that are going to make the difference, right? Small little tweaks in your game that are going to allow you to go out there and take these conversations further, win more listings, create more value. And that's what it's all about, right? Is how do I bring more value to the table that's going to differentiate me from everybody else that they're talking to? Because there's a lot of competition out there. And this is why we're here, sharpening our skills every single week so we can stand out. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know if you need anything. See you on the next one.
Thanks, Enrique.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.